Wonderful. Okay. All right. Today is April 13th, Friday. And we're just going to dive in with Myra, save announcements for after inspiration. But many of you know that Myra Lewin is a beloved ambassador and the teacher to many of us here at Banyan. I think it's safe to say that she's one of the most beloved teachers and customers, one of our top customers, our top practitioner customers. And she's got Robin on her team, who many of us know. He just stayed at my house and it's astrology sessions for many of you all. And it's just a pleasure to have Myra back on. She joined us before, I think a couple years ago. So it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
So many teammates on. So I'm just going to quickly, I'll let you know how this is going to go. We have about 10 minutes and hope to stick to, but I'm going to ask Myra to start by telling us her Ayurveda story, telling her, sharing with us what she might be most excited about in her personal or professional life.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some of us are interested in Agni Hotra, and Myra performs Agni Hotra every day on Durga Farms and her property there. And I thought that would be really inspirational for us to hear a little bit more about that. And then, of course, if she wants to share one or two of her favorite Banyan products, things we'd love to hear from you. And so I don't know if we have time to cover all that, but I'll help guide the conversation if we're going over.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. And just hear your story, Myra. It's pretty inspiring.
Okay. Well, things have changed a lot, and but not really. I was introduced to Ayurveda originally by my yoga teacher, and yoga wasn't so big then. It was somebody in a little room. There were very few. There were only a couple of Iyengar studios in the whole San Francisco area when I came to it. But she introduced it to me, and it seemed too complicated. I thought, oh, I can't handle it. And then she would just give me little bits of it every now and then. And then finally it started to sink in just a little bit. And then some years later, I was in India, and I had never eaten butter or anything in my life. And everybody kept saying, why don't you have the ghee? You should have the ghee on your food. And at that time, they would come around and put ghee on your food after they served it. They don't do that so much now, unfortunately. And so finally, I started letting them do it. And oh my gosh, the change in my body in a week's time was incredible. And so that, those kinds of things. And I thought I knew a lot about nutrition, and I had studied it a lot. And I had been a vegetarian already for many, many years, already for almost 20 years. And I thought I knew everything. And that's the great thing about Ayurveda and yoga, is that we find out that we think we know something, and then we find out that there's so much more to it. And so it's not really about the knowing, it's about how we experience it. And then when I went to my first practitioner, she said, I'd had intestinal problems, I'd had digestive problems all my life, and everybody in my family did. And we were just getting into genetics, and said, oh, okay, well, it's because everybody in your family does, so you're going to have it. And then she said to me, she says, maybe you're a little bit attached to these tomatoes that you have every single day, at least twice a day. Maybe you should try going without that a little bit. And I had never thought of it, because there were so few things that I ate. I was pretty picky, and because I couldn't digest anything. And so I took out the tomatoes, and my life changed. And then that really brought me in. Then I started to see that there was something I was missing completely in all of the intellectual knowledge that I had accumulated and that about diet and life and health and that. And so it was a great thing. And I was able to really start to let that all go and learn from the people that I could find at the time. And then I was introduced to Dr. Frawley, and from there I just continued to study, and it was mostly studying back then. And then some workshops started to happen, and that, which was a really great thing. So, that's kind of how I came to it. It didn't happen all at once. And over the years, I continued to learn things. I learn more about myself. I find out where my little sticky places are that I think I know everything, and I find out that I don't. And that's okay, because my experience every day of life is really the value. So we start to see that we're more than just that mechanical actions that we go through, that if we bring our self and our higher self into that, and not just to have everything be mechanical. Even if you come and you sit down at a computer, I spend more time at a computer now than I ever imagined that I would. And I think most of us do. But if we bring our heart into that and recognize that I'm going to show up with my whole being, then it's not just a mechanical thing. Even when I'm here in Hawaii and you're there in Oregon, that we can have a connection. And that's the big thing that has come to me from Ayurveda. And every day, I find those little places where, I can bring that in here. That's what's going to bring the richness to washing the dishes or whatever it is I have to do. So that's a little about my story. And one of the things that I'm most excited about related to Ayurveda is that there's so many people interested now. Look at all of you there. I think the last time I was, maybe this group was a little bit smaller, and so it's growing, and that's a really wonderful thing, because my experience of Ayurveda is that it brings a richness to life that really makes life worth living. And a lot of us have experienced things that have us be very discouraged about life. And I think there's a lot of people, especially in North America, that are pretty discouraged about life because it just doesn't look like a very good deal. And I think with the practices of Ayurveda, that we start to see that in a different way. And this is people all over the world. I've had experience lately where I had a client, somebody contact me to come and teach him more about yoga, and from Hong Kong. And I went there, and then they said, oh, but can you teach us to cook? and this is a person who owns many restaurants. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And it was such a great thing that, they're interested in seeing something that might have some more substance. See, because under the surface, we all know that this natural connection that comes from the practices of Ayurveda, that natural connection that is the current that runs through it, that is what is in all of us. And that's the real key. So it's not just, this rule or that rule, or you do this or you don't do that. It's really just about the principles. So, and so those principles, if we put them into effect in our life in the best way possible, then we get great results. And so that's pretty exciting for me, both personally and professionally, because every time I experience someone having an aha moment, being able to feel good about being in contact and telling me all about the changes they've experienced, that's a fantastic thing. That moment with people is the richness of life. And so Aaron mentioned about Agni Hotra. Agni Hotra is something that gives such a tremendous foundation to life. It gives us the ability to stay connected to the rhythm of nature, no matter what else we're doing in life. And so it's just a very simple fire ceremony where we make an offering of ghee and rice into the fire. And the idea is to offer up our self-will, our desire to try to control everybody else, especially. And but this fire and this connection to the rhythm of nature, it brings healing to us, and it brings healing to the atmospheres. And so that's, we practice it every day, and it's something that it keeps the sanity in life for sure. Yeah, but it also softens the heart. And I think that's so important these days. And sometimes we get going so fast, and things get a little bit sharp and hard, and that's really not that much fun. So Agni Hotra has brought a lot of fun into my life too. And so let's see, my favorite Banyan products. Well, my favorite products these days is still the bulk herbs, because I get to make custom churnas for people. And when I can put something together for them right in this moment, it just brings the greatest healing. It's fantastic. And one of the things that is happening, really more in the past year, because people are getting a little more education, is that the willingness of people to use the powder herbs over the tablets has increased dramatically. So that's pretty cool. And my personal favorite products are Beauty Balm, and also I've started using some Sleep Easy oil, and I like that too. I put that on my feet and a little on the top of my head, and it actually, I put a little tiny dab on the top of my dog's head too, because he was getting me up at night, and that wasn't so great. So. One of the things that I really appreciate about Banyan are the ethics that you hold, and I hope because what goes along with that is what I find to be the most important thing now for as a practitioner of Ayurveda to hold, which is that we maintain this holistic approach to Ayurveda, and that it's that connection to our higher self is what actually brings the power of it forward. We can get some little results here and there, and that's nice, but it's so much more than that. The transformations that I see in people and what I've experienced in myself. And so doing what you do and talking to people about it and that every day, it's the more we can all come back to that holistic nature of our true self and of what Ayurveda has to offer. I think that the more fun we're going to have. Yeah. And the more healing we'll see with people, whether it's physical or mental and emotional healing, that the herbs, they bring us the connection to the plants and to the earth and to nature. And so we have to remember that, it's not just this powder or this tablet, but that there's an energetic there for us that gives us an opportunity to stay connected to ourself and to our higher self. So, yeah, you have one of the strongest tools that we use. So I hope you'll respect that and be aware of it and enjoy that. Let it be something that even though you might be just talking to people about it, or bottles going by, or whatever it is, that you can just remember that. And as you bring that energy in, it'll be available to you. Yeah. So I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to just comment on one thing you said that really hit home for me, and you mentioned the ethics and stepping into our higher selves as part of the deep healing. And I wanted to share with you that you might not know, we're working on becoming a B Corp, a certified B Corp this year. And it's a business certification that's it certifies the whole business as really being an ethical business, from how we treat our employees, our suppliers, our and how we treat the earth as far as our energy use and beyond. So
Wonderful.
we're quite excited. That's a 2018 goal for us, and so that will allow us to step even more into our higher selves as a company.
Yeah.
Well,
Great. Awesome.
Ask a quick question or offer a quick gratitude before we say goodbye to Myra. I hear people talking and saying such beautiful things about you, Myra, around the office, but I don't know if anyone's comfortable sharing, but I want to give them a chance.
I have a quick one for you, Myra. Your recipes that you've given us are incredible. The list of ingredients is so small and they're so perfectly delicious. I made the green mushroom this morning, and they're incredibly satisfying, and it's just a thrill to put them out there for people to have access because they're so simple.
Good. Yay. Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. Well, the Vedas said, they imply, we'll say, that we should. It's really quite simple. Yeah, and the beauty is in the simplicity. So, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, yep. Sean wants to say something really quick.
Hi, Myra.
Hi.
I just wanted to say I have just immense gratitude for you, and the little things that I absorbed while I was at Hale Pule, that I just carry them with me as reminders, and just that one of the things I thought was so amazing about Hale Pule and about like just where my gratitude for you like comes from is how committed you are to walking your life in such a graceful, harmonious way with the earth, with those around you. It's a really beautiful, palpable thing, and like seeing you again, just thank you.
Okay.
I'll see you again.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Okay. Well, normally we snap, but let's blow her a kiss.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Bye, Myra. Thank you so much.
Aloha. Namaste. Bye now.